Hey, Austin. I was just wondering what specific challenges this process has presented when you're not able to do all of the things that you've been able to do in the past when evaluating players in this draft. What has this made impossible to decipher or determine?
I don't know if there's anything that's impossible, John. I would say just, the draft workout process is great for us. We like it. It's not everything, but it helps, to have guys in and put them in situations that we didn't get to see in college. If a guy's not a great shooter, we have him shoot a lot. If a guy's not great at running pick and rolls, we put him in a lot of pick and rolls. If the guy's, we're worried about his closeouts, we put him in closeout drills. These type of things are helpful to get a little more info. And, we weren't able to do that this year, so we got to go off of film a little more.
All right. Nick Gelso.
Hey, Austin. Another interesting thing about this draft is the amount of players that skipped college, went overseas, took other routes to the NBA. How does that impact your evaluation process of guys compared to players that are in college?
Well, it means I got to go to Australia and New Zealand, which was a lot of fun. Love those places. But, it is different. It's hard, especially, the context matters more overseas. College is designed for young players, and coaches are used to dealing with young players, and different international leagues handle young players differently. Sometimes they get the keys to the kingdom, and other times they are expected to fit in on a very veteran team. And so you just have to do a little more work to understand the situation compared to college.
Jared Weiss.
Every year when everyone's scouting in college, you're always warned not to look too much into March Madness performances because they might, they could sway you too strongly one way or another from a player's real ability. So this year with no March Madness under those huge clutch moments, how did that change the way you have to evaluate these players, especially when it comes to performing in high pressure situations?
I don't think it really changed much. I would say maybe a few of the smaller conference guys that, you just don't have as many games against higher level competition. Sometimes those guys are fun to see in March Madness, but, it's for most prospects, they're either not in it or play one game. It's not, it's not that big a deal.
Chris Grenham.
Hey, Austin. You mentioned before you guys are pretty limited this year compared to other years in seeing guys in person during the pre-draft process. What kind of factors went into that decision-making process of who you guys wanted to get in person, considering you could only get 10 or so this year?
Yeah, it was hard, Chris, to be honest. Everyone on my staff saw different guys more than others, right? Like you just the limits of personal time and travel. There's one guy that I saw only twice and I wanted to see again. And there's other guys that, who Mike Zarin saw 5 times and didn't get to see, another guy. And so it was hard to balance all of those things. So we just did the best we could and picked some guys that maybe we hadn't seen as much as a staff, or we thought might have more potential to have improved over, a 8-month layoff in some cases.
Keith Smith.
Hey, Austin. Sorry about that. With trying to do the draft in a couple days, free agency a couple days after that, training camps only a week out, not a lot of time to even fill out those training camp spots, those guys who will come in. How difficult is that making everything happening in this 1 week window this year?
Yeah, there are some challenges there for sure. It always comes fast. It always feels like everything, even in a normal year, we've had lots of time to prepare. I think the coaching staff definitely has some issues, and there could be deals or guys we sign that aren't even done in time to test in quarantine and join camp, so there definitely will be some challenges down the road. But as far as roster construction, we're used to kind of a frenzied pace here. It usually all kind of happens at once, even in a normal year.
John Corrales.
It seems like with this draft being so kind of flat, there different teams are valuing different players differently. How much of a challenge does that present in trying to find maybe trades, either trading up or trading for players, because team A values your picks highly, team B doesn't? It seems to be a little bit different than in most drafts.
Yeah, I mean, John, it's usually pretty hard. There's some times when you might have an idea on the first one or two, but after that, we may have some rumors or inkling or something we feel moderately confident will happen, but it's never enough to take it to the bank. I mean, I remember we felt decently confident. We know how it would go in, the top couple in Jason Tatum draft, but most of the time that's even hard. And so it's not something you usually count on when you're trying to trade up in drafts, let's say to even the 5th pick or 8th pick or 12th pick, you really don't know. So you just, you either wait till it's on the clock or you have multiple guys you like. And so you're fine with whoever's left.
Joe Varden.
Hey, you mentioned already the 8-month layoff for some of these kids. And then obviously we don't have a summer league. We don't have orientation, all that. Can we expect there to be like less, I don't know, less responsibility or less playing time or less of an impact, something like that early on for rookies because of all that stuff?
Your guess is as good as mine, Joe. I think that there's some logic to that. But some of these kids have put in a lot of work and got a million shots up during quarantine and may have been able to, clean up some of the skill issues, even if maybe defense or timing or conditioning could be at different levels for different guys. It'll be interesting to see. But I have a feeling that it won't be too different.
All right, last couple of questions. Adam Himmelsbach.
Hey, Austin. With the draft, how, if at all, does Gordon and even Enes' decision affect how you guys look at it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it would affect maybe some trade decisions more than draft decisions. As they say, need is a bad evaluator.
All right, and final question. We'll go Jared Weiss.
At this point for this draft class, a lot of these prospects, their games have been recorded, so you have tape of them going back really early in their careers compared to maybe players in the past. So I'm guessing the question would be, how is players over the past few classes and you see into the future, how is your ability to understand their growth and the development of their games increased as you're able to see them, especially against like competition at the grassroots level earlier and earlier and earlier into their careers?
Yeah, I don't know that much. I mean, it always is good to get a development arc and see where guys have come from to where they are now, but it's only so helpful, predicting the future. There's guys that develop a lot their freshman year of college and then don't improve that much their sophomore or junior year. There are guys that develop a lot 4 years into their NBA career. There's all sorts of graphs and charts on how guys develop, and it's just really hard. There's diminishing returns on more information.
All right. Thank you for your time. We'll wrap it up right there.
Thanks, everybody.